Hey, have you been thinking about crowdfunding your product, but your friends have told you it's a bad idea and you don't really know why? In this video, I'm going to reveal the 3 hidden dangers to crowdfunding that most don't realize until it's too late. Let's go. Hey, if you have always dreamed of launching and scaling your e-commerce brand online, be sure to subscribe to this channel because we release regular, actionable content to help you make informed choices and get a lot more clear with actionable strategies to help you do just that. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and let's get into the video. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Khierstyn, and if you are new here, I have worked with e-commerce brands to launch new products using Kickstarter and Indiegogo since 2015. And we've helped raise millions of dollars using these platforms. And we've taken these launches and turned them into several times multiple $1-million brands. So I like to think that I am an okay source to talk about some of the hidden dangers of crowdfunding. So take out your notebook and let's get into them. So why am I talking like this? I'm here to not try to talk you out of Kickstarter or Indiegogo. It is now my mission, after seeing the dark side of crowdfunding campaigns for the last few years, I am making it my mission to help inform creators of what they need to be prepared for. Because nobody's talking about this. Only the people that have gone through it and have had literally nightmares that have jeopardized their businesses and their finances and gone seriously into debt, only the ones that have gone through it talk about it. So I want to help you make an informed, educated decision. So in no way is my intention with this video to try to skew you away from it, but I want to educate you on the things that you may not realize you're getting into so you can better prepare should you choose to go for the crowdfunding route with your product. The number one hidden danger has some catastrophic effects if you are not prepared. That is not getting the ROI or raising the capital you expected to on Kickstarter. This is a trend that's been happening more and more and more, and it is the number one reason I have chosen to leave Kickstarter, okay? So what this means, because Kickstarter has become so saturated with big brands, people using it as a default funding source for years and years and years, I think the platform has reached a critical mass right now where, because it is so difficult to rank on the platform in order to get noticed or seen by their community, brands and startups just like you are needing to outlay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on marketing to build awareness and build a wait list before your launch. And some brands may be willing to do that, but what they don't realize is when they spend the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 required to build the email list, what happens if you launch your product and because you set your funding goal low in order to be picked up by the algorithm, what happens if you only raise your funding goal? Or what happens if you end up going into Kickstarter with a funding target of $10,000, but you really need $250,000? What happens if you do everything right, but because the platform is oversaturated, because marketing is expensive, because there's so much competition, you only raise $100,000? What are you going to do at the end of your Kickstarter campaign without a plan B for external funding? And this is the number one hidden killer of crowdfunding campaigns, because what ends up happening in an attempt to hit good marketing targets, you end up falling massively short of your goal, even if you publicly raise and you get funded. If you only raise $100,000, but you need $250,000 and you don't have a backup plan, this creates some catastrophic chain effects, and let's go into what those are. So at the end of your campaign, you've only raised $100,000 and you need an extra $150,000 to get to market. All of a sudden, because you hadn't banked on needing external capital, you are scrambling. And this means that when you're originally promised your timeline to your backers of delivering in 3 months, unfortunately, that can't happen, because in order to start manufacturing, you need to come up with the extra $150,000. And now you go into this weird rat race of trying to flag down investment to close some deals, to cover the gap, to make sure that you get the $250,000. Not only does this dramatically delay your timeline, but it breaches trust with your backers, because this is the very problem with Kickstarter and crowdfunding in general, is that people end up giving money and waiting 5 times longer for product because of supply chain, aka funding issues, because the creator just went in with the good intention of raising all this money by having this campaign. So that is number one hidden killer, is going into Kickstarter without having a plan B for external funding and not being realistic about your expectations of things going massively over budget and not being prepared for them. So that is number one. Hidden danger number one with falling short of your funding target doesn't only have massive consequences for your timeline on fulfillment and needing to come up with external capital, but it brings in danger number two, which is relying on Kickstarter to give you product market fit certainty and validation. A lot of people, brands, go to Kickstarter because they want to use the Kickstarter campaign to show potential investors that there's big market demand for their product, so that after the Kickstarter campaign, they're able to close additional capital. Here's why this is dangerous. What if your campaign ends up falling short of all forecasted things, and investors now look at your Kickstarter or Indiegogo raise and say, ooh, we expected your product to do so much more. Because of that, I'm out. There are so many startups right now that are going to crowdfunding to get that market validation. And because of certain factors I'm going to get into in a second, they don't hit the critical numbers that they were banking on literally to close additional rounds of investment. And so investors and startups and really the world is looking at Kickstarter campaigns that underperform as, oh, it must mean that there's just not demand for this product. This is a really, really big systemic issue, because what if the thing that is causing your campaign to not do as well as you had hoped, sure, you get funded, but what if that isn't a sign of product market fit or future market potential of the product, but what if that is an issue caused by the platform itself? What I mean by this is that because Kickstarter is so oversaturated, because there's so much competition, because of Kickstarter's backer community getting really fed up with creators and supply chain problems and not getting product for months or even years after promised, or just the Kickstarter landscape changing in general, what if there are external reasons why your product launch did not do the way you had hoped, but because of that, that is putting your ability to raise future funding at jeopardy? And this is really, really, really scary. I want to look at an example of a product launch that didn't do so well. We wanted with this product to raise $100,000. We thought, man, this is a home run. It's going to be multiple six figures. But this campaign only raised $35,000. I want to show you who that is. So you guys may know Series Chill from a few of the case studies and videos if you have been a lifelong watcher of this YouTube channel. Lisa and Series Chill is one of our top case studies. Her campaign 3 years ago now on Indiegogo raised only $34,000 Canadian. So if you translate that to US, it's about $26,000 with 300 backers. When somebody looks at that and they're thinking, oh, well, maybe this product isn't actually that great. Maybe there's not enough market demand. Maybe an investor looks at that and thinks, yeah, you know what? This doesn't look too great. Lisa could have missed out on a lot of opportunities. This, if you just look at the numbers, we make the wrong assumption. Today, Series Chill has hit the $1 million brand mark within 24 months of this campaign. So we have to be really careful. Lisa is one of several brands that may have had smaller campaigns, but end up going on to do multi-million-dollar behemoths, or being multi-million-dollar behemoths online. So we cannot fall victim to assuming that because a campaign does not do well, that it is your problem or that is a sign of your product underperforming. It is a symptom of a bigger systemic issue that we are seeing with the evolution of crowdfunding platforms, okay? This is happening behind the scenes. It's killing so much creativity. It's killing so many opportunities. This is the hidden danger that if your crowdfunding campaign does not hit the numbers you are relying on, it could actually jeopardize your chances for future investment or market perception of your product, which is scary. So that brings me to point number 3. Hidden danger number 3 is the very thing that is causing the mistrust in the Kickstarter community in terms of you rely on your backers to give you money to then fund your idea. But then if you don't do this thing right or at the right time, it could cause a litany of problems, which is, so this campaign that I'm going to look at right now is awesome, and they have been communicating amazingly. And I want to show you an example of just some of the issues that can happen with this. So hidden danger number 3 is when you go to Kickstarter too early in your product development journey. Now, Kickstarter, to their credit, and Indiegogo are getting really good and really cracking down on projects that they just will not let you on their platform if you are at the idea phase, because it takes so much longer than you can ever imagine to bring that first custom product to market. So Kickstarter, Indiegogo, kudos to you guys, are really cracking down to only let campaigns on the platform that have their prototype really scoped out. So in saying that, hidden danger number 3 is don't crowdfund too early in your production journey. I talk to creators all the time that are like, yeah, we don't have a manufacturer yet, but we're definitely going to be able to deliver in 2 months. And we're manufacturing out of China. Any seasoned person will tell you, well, your product's going to wait on a boat minimum 2 months right now. So anyway, let's get into the kind of some of the horror stories of supply chain and why you do not want to crowdfund too early and what this can cause. So here's an example of a campaign that got successfully funded November 2020. Let me show you a recent production update they did in March 2022. Now again, I am highlighting this campaign because I think that they've done a fantastic job keeping their backers informed. So kudos to this team for just keeping people in the loop. And I realize it sucks that we are, a year and a half past this and they're likely not going to fulfill for another year, but this is not their fault. It's just supply chain and the intricacies of bringing a new product to market that I am highlighting this campaign here to show you what it really is like to help you plan better, to be in a better position when you go to Kickstarter, to make sure that you are pretty much ready to start manufacturing. Okay, prototype and everything figured out. So you can go through this update just by going through the video. They did a fantastic job communicating, okay? And when I go through some of these updates, there are 2 comments I want to highlight. Okay, so for the most part with this update, which was very well done, this team has basically said, hey, we're finally almost finished the prototyping, and based on timeline, you should have product within 8 months, okay? So, okay, most comments are okay. This gentleman, just like most people, lost his mind. He's really angry, blah, 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 blah. But I want to highlight a couple comments down here where I'll say this is far from the worst Kickstarter experience I've had, and you obviously haven't backed many companies before this. If you back something on Kickstarter, you need to expect absolute minimum 1 year for return on your investment, especially with board games. There are companies that consistently sell their products through Kickstarter. They sometimes have a faster turnaround, blah, 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 blah. And I have never produced a game product. I would have known the exact requirements needed, coupled with the craziness of the world. I am awaiting several that finalized Kickstarter way before this one. So I'm highlighting this because these comments are for people who are very well versed in the Kickstarter community. These 2 clearly have purchased several Kickstarter campaigns, and I have to say that this is the standard Kickstarter campaign. Most Kickstarter campaigns, unless if you are a brand that has supply chain figured out already, you are grossly going to underestimate the intricacy and how much goes into bringing a product to market and your timeline. So I highlight this project and these comments to show you that this is reality. And if you think you can bring a new product to market in 3 months when you just have something sketched out on paper and you don't have the factory prototype or the tooling or any of that kind of locked in and loaded, your timeline, triple it. I say this so you can set realistic expectations with yourself and also see if you need to arrange for backup funding so that when you go to market, you have a way to inject cash straight into inventory and manufacturing, and you don't have to wait. So going through this, these are the 3 hidden dangers of Kickstarter campaigns. If you have any that you feel that I have not covered that you also want to highlight, be sure to drop those in the comments. This is a video about awareness and helping you make an informed choice to whether you want to go to Kickstarter, and also how to set yourself up for success so that hopefully you don't fall into one of these danger traps. In summary, who should go to Kickstarter and why you go to Kickstarter is really a personal choice. But at this point, I feel that if you are a startup that has deep pockets, you're funded, you have an existing audience, you're an existing brand, go to Kickstarter. If not, if you're super early on, really do your homework and weigh the pros and cons and make sure that you build those into your business plan so that you have a smooth transition and you don't have to learn. I mean, you can really learn from the mistakes of other people and not your own, because these can be some pretty expensive mistakes. Ha! This is all starting to sound pretty glum, right? Is there no way to bring a product to market? Well, absolutely there is. If you have gone through this video and you're like, I'll pass, I don't think I need Kickstarter, there is another way to launch your product online. That is where, instead of going straight to Kickstarter, we recommend for certain products that you can put up a pre-order campaign on your own website and start taking pre-orders and building your business that way at a much lower cost. So what this means is that if you are interested in learning more about a pre-order model or just how to have a safer Kickstarter campaign, we have a ton of resources below this video that you can check out for free. And apart from that, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more regular content just like this. Apart from that, I'll see you guys next time.